Hey everybody, this is DM Mike, and this is the last of 3 radio dramas for Hoard of the Dragon Queen in Chapter 8. And I don't want to give too much away here, so I'm just going to go ahead and we'll get right into the radio drama. I'll just give you this little bit of context. This radio drama takes place in the 9 Hells, deep in the abyss, right? So that's where this is going to open up, and the entire scenario happens down there. All right, so this one is called Awakening in the Abyss, and it was one of the last 3, and we opened with it a couple days ago on our last session. All right, so let's go ahead and get into it. It's about 8.5 minutes long, and we'll talk about it more afterwards. All right, guys, here we go.
The man-like creature slowly rises as consciousness returns to a brittle mind that has gestated in long, deathly slumber. His past remains elusive, though the sound of steel and the iron taste of blood remains at the forefront of his thoughts. His bones creak under the weight as he raises his head, his eyes focusing on the bleak and bitter hollow of a never-ending emptiness opening before him. Bellowing and snarls alert him to another presence. Fiendish gray devils gather like carrion birds nearby, their pronged feet and taloned hands scraping across the black marbled rock, yellow eyes watching him with curious and malicious intent. Distant cackles and whisperings emote from the abyss. He pauses to listen intently, knowing deep within that such voices are ancient in nature, the sufferings of souls forgotten, their hideous deeds laid bare by spiritual vivisection, as the cosmos judges them through hideous malevolence. In the distance, a roar of thunder can be heard. He stands and peers across the gulf, the shadowed twilight revealing only never-ending darkness. It's at that moment his gaze is abruptly broken by a shimmering road opening before him, its surface glittering as if the resplendent dust of diamonds had been carved into its obsidian skin. Its black, chiseled masonry crafted from dark beings long displaced under great torment and eons of servitude. The gray devils scatter abruptly as a skull priest dressed in red approaches the figure, his eyes brimming with life and internal heat, an acrid, putrid smell stretching before him. He approaches and stops, holding out a staff of bone and steel. His countenance blurs under the astral heat rising from the black abode. Though his visage was one of ivory and death, a wicked intelligence resided behind his glowing eyes, tempered by long years in ancient hells.
Welcome, youngling. Do you know of whom you stand before?
The man-creature nods its head in recognition.
Your deeds are known to us, and to her. Follow me, for she wishes to speak to you. An honor beyond the comprehension of mortal gratitude.
The creature walks cautiously behind the bone priest, as the black Stygian road reveals itself steadily before them. The devils skitter and move, following them both, as only yellow beaming eyes and white fangs breach the aphotic vapor and ash that flows like water around him.
From the silence of the darkness she has summoned you. For your will is strong and anger runs deep. The essence of her acolytes that she will cherish through eternity. Here she will hold counsel with you, and you will be judged.
The road ends upon a great precipice of immense height, facing a black void of stars. The priest steps aside and holds out his hands towards the edge of the cliff, pointing the way. The creature steps forward, staring into the unending plain. Suddenly, the void swirls as lightning splinters across the emptiness, a seething violence that shatters the silence. And from that black pit, a single dragon head emerges, a monstrosity of unworldly proportions. Black winds shatter the void, causing the man to drop to his knees in the presence of this eldritch of an ancient time. An intensity of loathing and fear rise from the deepest wells of his heart, as if the dragon were devouring him through thought, and not the unending throngs of its ivory teeth. He had never felt such fear that birthed such recreancy. The beast holds his gaze as wave after wave of despair showers him from the elder's very presence. It does not open its mouth to speak, but its voice echoes from the expanse, dripping with antiquity.
Who stands before me? It is I, Great One, Lengedrosa, Sensation, who has served the cult of the dragon.
A deluge of spiritual anguish and torment engulfs him, as accursed black angels hold him down upon the stone, their immortal strength unbearable.
Who stands before me?
Lengedrosa struggles under spiritual forces and stares up, grimacing through clenched teeth.
Slave and worshiper. An empty vessel that awaits your will. A vessel, yes. A vessel that can still serve. Though you may have died by the sword, your life will be restored by my grace. For I too have felt the bitter sting of betrayal.
The eyes of the immense serpent glance down upon the Dragonborn, the giant orbs surveying him with a wisdom crafted by millenniums of unseen dominions.
You will return and shall become one of my saints. One who will spread my will and gospel to those with the black tongue. The heathens I will embrace. The holy I will destroy. Be born again, Lengedrosa. Born from my clay.
In that moment, the very nature of Lengedrosa is transformed with abysmal gore. The fiber and sinew of his being altered and regenerated to a new and hideous form. As his outer skin cracks and the bones realign, the turmoil suddenly ends. And what was once a Dragonborn looks upon the glorious face of Tiamat as a new creature, that of a red Abashi. A sword of dark metal is pulled from its scabbard of eldritch steel.
Now go and return. Return to the surface.
All right, so there you go, people. That is one of the final ones. That's what I opened up with on our very last session. Now, it's 8.5 minutes, maybe 9, something like that. I can't remember now. This one was a tough one to write because I rewrote it and edited it more than any other radio drama I think I've ever done in the entire campaign. Now, why was that? Well, it's because I was trying to give it a Lovecraft kind of feel. Not that I was trying to capture everything this man has done. I don't have time for that. But I was using certain words like eldritch, eon, abyss, Stygian, all that kind of stuff. Right? I looked at his work. I have a lot of his books on Kindle, and I just go through and I pick out like these words that he used, and especially like things like eldritch and elder and things like that. And I really felt like it was appropriate to apply that to Tiamat. I think there had to be something different, a different way of writing for these radio dramas, because this was taking place in a very holy place, even though I know it's hell, but there is some holiness to it, not necessarily meaning a good thing, but there's holiness. And so I felt like I had to approach the radio drama differently than all the other ones. So it had to have a different language, a different vocabulary. Also, I spent a lot of time trying to figure out, well, what's Tiamat sound like? And look, I'm no Mel Blanc. I've said this 100,000 times. I do the best I can, but I got close. I got close to what I felt like one of the heads, not all of them, but one of the heads, the main one, I would say, the red one, would sound like, and how it would talk to an individual. I tried to capture that as best I could. But this was, we played this that last night, and I was a little nervous about it because it is a little bit long. I wasn't too sure if it was boring or not, but I really wanted to capture the essence of a kind of a different world. The Bone Priest that shows up in the radio drama showed up in I think maybe the second radio drama that I did all the way back when we first started. The first night, actually, the first prologue campaign is where that priest actually showed up. We haven't seen him since then for like a whole year. And then we kind of come full circle. There he is again. And of course, we have the rebirth of Langdodrosa. Now, I handle these things a little gently. I feel like reoccurring villains that just keep coming back from the dead is boring. I feel like it just gets old really fast. You have to handle those things with white gloves, because you don't want every single villain coming back left and right. It just gets old. We just played a couple days ago at our last session, and Rezimir and Asbaroth, which we'll cover in the campaign diary, both dead. And let me tell you, they're both dead. They ain't coming back. They will not be awakening in the abyss like Langdodrosa did. But you got to be careful with that kind of stuff. It just gets old. But anyway, I wanted to revisit that. I actually had the idea 6 months ago. After actually probably even longer than that, after they killed Langdodrosa, and what happened with him, with Frulan betraying him, and the encounter there inside the caverns, I felt like he might be a good candidate for Tiamat to bring him back, but also just as that reoccurring villain, and he comes back even stronger because even the characters now are stronger. They're level 8. When we start Rise of Tiamat, they'll be around level 8. I don't know where he'll show up or when or if he'll show up, but he needed to change, and I felt like out of all the characters I had right now, he was the most important one. I felt like he felt that bitter sting of betrayal and deserved to return. I think Tiamat saw that in him, that it was, hey, you are a good candidate for revenge. You would do excellent. You'd be a great, great servant for me. So guys, that's it. I don't want to spend too much time about this radio drama. As you can see, it's just, again, it has that language. Had the most rewrites I've ever had. I don't remember how long. I think I'll put maybe some images up if I got them. Just how long this. I think it was like maybe 5 pages. It was very carefully laid out, rewritten so many different times, just trying to find that language. I spent a lot of time in a thesaurus and just also researching Lovecraft and the particular language he liked to use. And that's how I crafted it. This might be a good idea for you. I mean, if you're, radio dramas, you can change the language to fit the context, if that makes any sense. A great example is Superman the movie, 1978, 77, whenever it came out. They talked about this in the commentary, how the original writer wrote biblical language for the first third of the movie when they're on Krypton, right? So there was a different way of delivering ideas, delivering dialogue in that scene. And then it cuts to, of course, Earth, and the dialogue's different, the feeling is different, yada, yada, right? So that's the kind of take I was doing on this. This is the only radio drama out of all of them that had very specific language. And it's a tool that you can use to help give a radio drama a different feeling. Now, would I use it all the time? No, but if I find myself back in the abyss or doing something with Tiamat, which I'll probably have more radio dramas dedicated to her in the next one, Rise of Tiamat, because that's the last time, maybe, I'll be using this great dragon. You just want to be, you can use that language to accentuate certain environments, but you want to use it sparingly, right? That's the key. You want to use it sparingly. But anyway, guys, that's it. There's 2 more radio dramas. One that is the ending radio drama that'll come up probably after this other one, which is the second radio drama, which was a, oh man, it was quick and dirty. It was a compilation. It was fast-paced radio drama, and I think I'll get into that more in the next video. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for keeping up with these all this time for the past year, and we're going to take a break, but Rise of Tiamat is on the way. All right, guys, thanks, and I'll see you in the next one.